I am the president of the MOU. Thanks, everyone. I was just having a conversation with Renner down here in the front where he pointed out that the fact that we have the opportunity to hold these meetings in the North Star Ballroom where we are today really gets us excited. There's so much room to talk with each other, to meet new birders. Roughly 8 years ago or so, we used to host these meetings over at the Bell, which is it wouldn't quite have the capacity for the large group we have today. So really grateful that we all can come to such a nice venue like this, pull out the lunches, sit down, chat, and delay the business meeting a little bit. It's okay, it's okay. Okay, so for the business meeting, the couple topics that I want to make sure that we touch on, I want to share a little bit about what the MOU has been up to the past year. I want to share a little bit about exactly why we're here. Then we'll get into a nice summary of the treasurer's report, the membership report, and then finally election of officers and the awards, which I know everybody looks forward to each year. Okay, so first off, if you're not familiar with the MOU, if you're not a member, if you haven't participated in these fantastic paper sessions in the past, let me tell you a little bit about our structure and why we do what we do. So the MOU's mission is the observation, study, and conservation of birds and their natural habitats while supporting diversity and inclusion in its membership and its leadership. This means we cannot be effective without engaging with the entire birding community. We need to grab end-to-end and find inclusivity across all of those who participate in birding. There's hardly a person that I've met that doesn't have that little bird bug in the back of their brain. Almost anybody can be converted with enough conversation. So, we as a community, we should really be cognizant that almost anybody should be considered a birder. There's no reason to exclude anyone from this fantastic hobby and research. So who does the work behind the scenes here? Throughout the year, there's roughly 150 volunteers that execute the mission of the MOU and engage with the community as the face of the MOU. The folks coming up with the great ideas and leading some of this work are listed here. I want to give special recognition to the committee chairs listed. So Liz Harper, who's present today, Kate Kellenberger and Jen Veith. We've got Trey Weaver, he's sitting over here in the back, Mark Leistig, Michelle Terrell, Kara Snow, Tony Herzl, Christina Dexter-Nienhaus, our social media committee. I've specifically highlighted because I know there's some folks here who are more than capable of contributing some great ideas here. We've got a really nice structure in place, but come talk to me. I think we can really do more here, and I'd be interested to see some competing views on what you think this could look like. Dave Cahlander on the website and list service. Big shout out to Dave on this one. Anyone who's interacted with the MOU has probably come to our website, and you can appreciate just how big of an endeavor that website is. There's an immense volume of data and history and information on where the birds are, where they are, and when you can find them. So much data deep in this website. In fact, there's corners of this website that even I surprise myself when I come across in the daily activity of business at the MOU. Spend some time on that website and send a thank you note to Dave. Looking forward, that website is going to have to stay active. It's going to have to get reinvigorated at some point, and the MOU board is committed to that mission. Keep in mind it's an expensive process, but that's why we host events like this, to put the great research that the community is doing in front of you, to share the mission of the MOU, and to show you how you can engage with that community. And it kind of happens all through this portal, this online portal of the MOU website. So more to come on that, but just know that you can support that mission by being a member of the MOU throughout the year. Keeping going on the thank yous here, Jerry Hoekstra, editor of the newsletter. This is also a really big time-consuming effort, and the quality is really great on this. We have Rob Daves, the VP, who has really handled a lot of the merchandise activity. I'll have a special note on that in just a minute here. And then we have 2 new chairs this year, which I'm really proud to announce. I know you know one of them already, but if you two wouldn't mind standing up, Clinton Dexter Nienhaus and Bob Dunlap, I want to give a special round of applause and welcome to the board. Thanks, guys. Without all these friendly faces, we simply wouldn't be able to be here today. So with that said, there are 3 friendly faces that have been outgoing starting late last year and at various points throughout the year. Tom Tustison, Peter Nichols, and Carol Henderson. So I do want to point out Tom Tustison, he was chair of the Records Committee at the MOU for 14 years, first joining that committee in 1998. He has been an immense wealth of leadership, knowledge, and mentorship throughout the community. He is still around. He is still an alternate on that committee. But join me in a round of applause for Tom's work on the MOURC, and we look forward to what comes next. I don't believe Pete Nichols is here today. He stepped off late last year. He was on the social media committee since 2016. A big contribution to putting the MOU's message out in front of folks. That's always fantastic. And Carol Henderson, who I believe is back at his desk in the back, I think he really regretfully stepped back so he could focus on some other priorities and conservation. A very noble pursuit and understandable, but I want to offer a thank you to Carol for your years on the board. Okay, so that's roughly who the MOU is. Now, what do we do with this membership power and the folks in this room? One of the things, we do a lot, but one of the things that we do is each year we review the Savoloya grants that are submitted by the community. These could be submitted by individual members or organizations who want to study or promote the education or conservation of birds across Minnesota. This year, we funded 7 projects totaling roughly $12,000. And in addition, we often have projects that are multi-year long. So there's a lot of background research going on. We continue to add to that pile and keep the ball rolling. This is a really big part of how the MOU, how the membership dollars can really touch the birds in your backyard. So please, I want you to take special note of these projects and their impacts across the community. A few of them here, Carpenter Nature Center and their new wood thrush tracking program. This one's really exciting. We are giving Springbrook Nature Center field guides and binoculars to help with the classroom trips and the educational programs that they run. My Bird Club has special programs benefiting young birders and also underrepresented groups. The National Loon Center, in partnership with the Northern Waters Land Trust, they're hosting monthly workshops. Again, this is helping to get out the message about how important birds are and what kind of details they can tell us about the environment we live in. We're also, I love stuff like this. Piers Elementary School hosts these multiple sessions of raptor education talks. So you can get the raptor groups to come out and present to the classrooms and just get people tuned in to some of the complexities of bird behavior early on. This is really important in my opinion. Urban Bird Collective had a really fun project this year installing interesting chimney swift monitoring, nest boxes, and other programs to watch these throughout the year. And then finally, Nature Connection and the Headwaters Science Center had various educational programs that they requested funding for. So this is an annual call for action. Grant applications are due January 20th. We award these out in April. Like I said, the MOU loves the Savoloya grant program. Please take a look. If you have a program that you think could be funded through this, submit by January 20th. Give us a call or email us if you'd like to learn more about that. And as the membership, if you've loved the talks today, if you've loved some of the research that's been presented in the past where we directly call out funding from MOU, join as a member or just go onto our website, donate, and say, this is for Savoloya. That's where I want my dollars to go, and we'll make sure it gets there. Next up is merchandise. So A new campaign we have this year is to make sure that our birders look stylish in the field, representing the MOU while they do it. These are the first designs launched. It is live as of like 3 days ago, so this is brand spanking new. There's a lot of good stuff on there. Please check out Branding Warehouse, see what we got, see what you like. Give us comments if you want to see more, because I think there's a lot of places that this can go, and it directly helps to fund the mission that I've been talking about here. Another really exciting announcement, there's a lot of new stuff this year, but another really great one that I'm so excited about is during a board meeting earlier in the year, Christina Dexter-Nienhaus came up with an idea that was so clever that it really just stuck on and we couldn't get away from it. The idea was so enticing, so it really snowballed into this effect. The MOU is really excited to announce that we will host a Minnesota Bird of the Year selection and campaign process. And the idea here, in fitting with the theme of the state of the birds, is that there are plenty of birds in need. There are plenty of birds that have great stories to tell, whether that's a winning story, whether that's a losing story. But getting those stories out in front of the people can be difficult to do. But as you can see from the diverse membership we have here today, from PhDs to hobbyists, true ornithologists, to backyard bird watchers, we have such a wide audience that this is the exact right place to get this message out. So with that, I want to announce the MOU is supporting the Minnesota Bird of the Year selection, and it is the wonderful boreal chickadee. Who doesn't love this bird? Yeah, seriously. So there's a lot of really great research going on in Minnesota on boreal chickadees. Minnesota is really the best state in the United States to see this bird. So there's a reason we should be really proud that we can go into our backyard across our state and see this bird. There'll be a special talk right after our business section on this bird. We've got upcoming field trips, thanks to the organization efforts of Trey. Please keep an eye out for that. We'll announce it through the usual channels. There'll be a conservation focus throughout the year. We want to make sure that we apply specific targeted focus on these species once they're selected, because it's just such an exciting process. And because we have so many great photos and other designs and artists in our community, expect to see new apparel as we move. I also love to highlight maps like this. This is just one of the clever ways you can use the MOUMN website. This map was generated directly from the database. This is data submitted to us by you, the members, and we also curate it from eBird to build these really fantastic distributional maps. Any species, anybody can go on and generate maps and much more like this just through our website. Finally, I also want to highlight we have a really nice collaborative project with the Minnesota eBird portal. If you haven't noticed, I love eBird. If you jump onto eBird, the homepage is the Minnesota portal. This is managed by the MOU in collaboration with a few other partner groups here. But we're sure to spotlight the best images, maybe not the best, but really interesting images coming out across the state. There's so many great photographers here. We've got news, field trips, more. This is a great platform to check in on what's going on with Minnesota news, in addition to what's going on with MOU. I talked a little bit about all of the volunteer work going on behind the scene. This is a really small selection of what that culminates into. Throughout the year and throughout the state even, we hosted 24 field trips totaling 222 species seen. This was an effort led by Trey. He's been a fantastic member to have on the committee. Why don't you stand up and give a wave, Trey? Yeah. Now, I single him out specifically so that you can walk over to him when I'm done talking, tap him on the shoulder, and say, I want to join up as a trip leader. I don't think there are enough trips in my corner of Minnesota, and I know that I've got some great birds here. Go talk to him. Trip leaders wanted. Another really exciting activity that we host every year is the Spring Primer. So 203 registered this year. It is an online conference focusing on identification challenges, really fun tips, sometimes equipment reviews, lots of fun stuff. This is a really exciting birding primer to get you ready for the coming year as Minnesota starts to thaw out. It's already scheduled. Set a date on your calendar and go ahead and register for March 29th, 2025. There'll be more announcements as we get closer. We also, the MOU co-hosts with the Carpenter Nature Center the Hastings Earth Day and Youth Birding Competition. This is really exciting. Groups get out, they bird for the day, they see how much they can see. Another special one is the State Fair booth. 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day the State Fair is open. We had 100% fill rates this year, over 75 volunteers. Here's a really great photo on the side here. Just ask me about birds at the Minnesota State Fair. It's a really fun booth. If you'd like to volunteer, keep an eye out as the State Fair comes up. And then I'll skip down to the very bottom here, the Biology Bob Binocular Fund. This is a really good program that the MOU is committed to. We want to make sure that young birders who might just be right on that tipping point of the edge of joining the craziness that is birding, all they need is that pair of binoculars. Any MOU member can nominate them. Go ahead, contact Sid. I think he's up front here. Yep, he's got his hand up. Let him know that you have got a deserving young birder that needs a pair of binoculars to get going. We're ready. We've got the binoculars. We've got the money. Let's do it. Okay, so here's a fun one, membership dues. For the first time since 2001, we raised the price of membership, $5 domestically. I know. It went up $10 for the international memberships. We're doing a lot of mailings for the international memberships. Those come up a little bit more. But we had to do this in order to support a lot of our publication costs have been rising. This venue itself, the cost went up roughly 30-40% on specific line items. Things have gotten more expensive over the years, and so this is just a marginal increase to keep up the pace. If you have not renewed yet, get ready for that $30 price instead of the usual $25. We've been on the old $25 for so long that I wanted to give a special prod to make sure everybody's aware. Just jump onto the MOU's website. You can renew Visa, PayPal, check, whatever you like. Just sign up on the website. We have regular publications. If everything I've been talking to you about today you haven't heard before, there's great ways to stay connected with us. We publish a bi-monthly Minnesota birding newsletter, and it's all archived online. If you prefer the digital versions, go for it. We've got it up there on the website. And if you really love the research and you're a real data science nerd, we've got the Loon Quarterly Journal, collects some really interesting research focuses, really tunes in on the fine-grained data, a lot like the talks you've been hearing today. We publish that every quarter. There's so much great information on the status of Minnesota birds in there. Always something to learn. Okay, and next, if you haven't seen it, please, I encourage you to check out the Daily Birding Planner. Because the MOU is the state's, we maintain the state's official birding checklist. We put a lot of effort into collecting and compiling data, verifying new bird sightings, maintaining the status and distribution of all birds within the state. We put all of that information into this neat little calendar. Anybody can grab it. And it is kind of just a fun checklist to carry on with you through the year and stay in tune to the comings and goings of the season. You can just log on to lulu.com and type in MOU. Comes up pretty close. So with that, I will hand it off. We are ready for what I always say is my favorite section, the Treasurer's Report. We'll have Ann Kessen produce that.
A year ago, when I did the Treasurer's Report, I was sad. Well, I wasn't that sad, but I was a little sad because we ended the year in the red. Not by much, but we ended it in the red in terms of our operating budget. I am happy to tell you that now I am happy because we ended the year in the black. Yes, please. How did we achieve this turnaround? Well, we took in more money and we spent less. That's the way that works. You may have noticed, for instance, in terms of spending less, that your most recent issues of the Loon, the journal, have fewer color pictures in them. That's one way of reducing costs, is reducing the amount of color in a publication. That's just one example of the kind of things we did. So here, the basic numbers for our year stretching from November 1st, 2023 to October 31st, 2024, our general income was approximately $39,500. Our expenditures were approximately $34,600. So we ended the year in the black. In terms of our Savaloya Fund, our small grants fund, Justin was just talking about that. You heard Carla when she talked about barn owls, talking about the money she got that work started, got from the Savaloya Fund. Over the course of the last fiscal year, the Savaloya Fund took in approximately $10,400 in new money and paid out approximately $9,600 in grants. So a program we can be proud of. One more thing I want to mention before I step away here. If you put together the money that we took in from donations to the Savaloya Fund and money from the book sale, which goes to the Savaloya Fund, with our general income, for the year, it amounts to about $50,000. Our administrative expenses for the year, this is the stuff like, insurance, bank fees, stuff that actually has nothing to do with birds. That amounted to approximately $5,600. That means of the money that we took in, approximately 11% was spent for overhead, meaning that 89% is spent for birds. That's something that we can all be proud of. Every dollar that comes in here, 89 cents goes to the birds. Now, perhaps, this of course is just a summary. I have a treasurer's report here that has 2 pages full of numbers. If you would like to have a look at this, I'm here the rest of the day. Or please email me, and I would be happy to email you back a complete copy of our treasurer's report. Thanks.
Thank you, Anne. Next is the annual membership report. This is prepared by Cindy Thury-Smith. She couldn't make it today, but she prepared this really nice report, so it is fairly easy for me to follow along with her great work. So working our way across the page here, you can see that overall total mailing membership is pretty much the same. It's moved from 1,023 to 1,011. Total paid memberships have moved from 960 down slightly to 948. Life members have increased. We love life members. This is a really exciting way to engage with the membership program because you can explicitly call out that you care about the MOU long term and you'd like to not worry about these monthly fees and all this. So just join up for a life member and be done with it. Members paying annual dues has reduced slightly, and new members was roughly 74. roughly what this table is communicating here is that our membership has been stable. We have a good recruitment. There's some going out the door, but we still maintain a good recruitment. We can definitely do better. I'm excited to see how we can do better. And I want to hear from folks in this room, what are your biggest holdbacks? What does it take to get you to join up as a life member, to join that next membership tier? Because we want to make sure that as a community, we're controlling the direction. This isn't just some board sitting in a dusty old room talking about which birds are great, like the boreal chickadee. This is really membership-based, so let us hear it. This is your organization. Now, on for the election of offices. So the officers of the MOU are elected every year, and the nominations are put forth by the nomination committee. This is the slate as proposed by that nomination committee. We have myself. I have been serving as president the past year, and I would serve my second and final term this year if elected. We have our current vice president, Rob Daves. If you wouldn't mind standing up as I call you. Yes, give a wave. Rob has joined as vice president this year and is running again has been nominated again for vice president. We have our recording secretary, Darcy. Please stand up. Yep, in the back here. Darcy has been the recording secretary, and she's been serving for the past year as well. We have Anne, who you just heard from, so I won't make her stand again. Cindy, our membership secretary, she couldn't attend today, but she would like to continue in this position today. All have agreed to serve another term in 2025. So this is the slate of officers put forth by the nomination committee. And so I ask, are there any other nominations from the floor for any of these positions? Please say so now. Hearing none, the slate of officers is nominated as put forth. We will vote on the slate of officers as a whole. So all those in favor of electing this slate of officers, say aye. 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 Any opposed, say nay. The slate of officers is approved. Thank you. Next up, I will call out to Clinton to take over for the awards presentation.
All right, everybody. So this is one of those sections that is always really fun because you hear about stuff that you don't hear about throughout the year, right? If you're only in one part of the state, you get to learn about what's happening from people doing good works. In our sort of awards column, if you want to learn more about the awards themselves, you can find information on past winners of these awards, as well as full descriptions of the awards that we give out as the MOU. This is another one of those membership-driven things. If you are excited about work someone was doing or some new research, or you want to honor someone for lifetime achievement type things, we have a whole committee that will take those requests and those nominations, and we go through them and we vote on them, which is a really cool thing that you all get to do as membership. And so very briefly, we have 4 awards that we give out annually. First one being Volunteer of the Year, which is our newest award. I think 2019 was the establishment there. Young Birder of the Year, the Theodore Voelker Award, which is a special achievement for field ornithology, and then the T.S. Roberts Lifetime Achievement Award. And so with that quick brief thing, I will note that this might be the fastest award ceremony ever because we only have really one of the people here, which is really exciting. We can get right back to talks, right? So I'm going to invite Genevieve up to present our first award.
Hello, and I must start this out with saying I'm kind of embarrassed. This is my first time nominating somebody for this award. As director of Carpenter Nature Center and also co-chair of the Education Committee, I get the chance to see lots of amazing, inspiring young birders and nature enthusiasts that are under 25 years of age. I must also state that our bird banders think that minimum or maximum age threshold should be raised to 75. So I first met this year's Young Birder of the Year award recipient in 2016, nearly a decade ago, when they were a VYB, a very young birder. If you're looking for Young Birder of the Year candidates, I'll give you some places to hang out because we are always looking for good candidates. One event stands out as a key place to meet the best of the best. The annual Earth Day Youth Birding Competition is co-hosted by Carpenter Nature Center, Hastings Environmental Protectors, and of course the MOU. It's a terrific opportunity to see the state's best young birders in action. So to prepare this speech, I looked back at some of the stats from that event. And it turns out that you improve your chances of being the Young Birder of the Year by 26% by being involved in that event. At least 4 of the past 15 award winners have either won the event, led bird hikes, judged the youth birding competition, or given presentations. Just a few names for you: Alex Sandoval, Alyssa DeRubis, Frank Fabro, Bob Dunlap. Now that's some terrific young birder energy and some great legacies. This year's award recipient will make it 5 out of 16, but I'm not telling you what they did at the event yet. So looking back at the past Young Birder of the Year recipients, only 3 out of 15 were female. So this recipient will narrow that age gap, or the gender gap. So another great place to see young birders is to stop by the MOU's Ask Me About Birds booth. We have quite a few of those former recipients of the award that volunteer there, but there's a few other award recipients that volunteer there as well: Ben Fritchman and Nolan Meyer. This year's award winner can also be found volunteering at the State Fair booth alongside adults 2 to 5 times their age. And yeah, we won't say any more about that one. So this year's young birder came to birding through family. They had a bird-curious family member that brought the birder to a bird banding program. Quickly, that curiosity turned into birding being a family activity. Within a few years, everybody received binoculars either for a birthday or Christmas present. When I met this person, she was full preteen and would occasionally eye roll in the presence of her parents. And I will say that she was a way better preteen than I ever was, because this phase was very short-lived, and everyone who volunteers or works alongside her today finds this person to be mature, kind, thoughtful, a fantastic birder, and above all, just a joy to be around. This person exemplifies all that's best in Minnesota birders and is conscientious and an ethical role model for other young birders. So early in her birding career, she focused on giving back through volunteerism. She persuaded her family to stay up late, even on school nights, to assist with northern saw-whet owl migration research. She volunteered to monitor kestrel nest boxes as part of that tagging project there. Unlike most teens, she also volunteers to get up at 4 a.m. on summer vacation to assist with maps research, both at Spring Lake Park in Dakota County and at the Carpenter, Wisconsin campus. She happily volunteered this past year to get up even earlier to do a breeding bird survey route in Chatfield and also in Net Lake. And this person keeps a positive attitude even when they're swarmed with more black flies and mosquitoes than I think I've encountered in decades. This person also contributed over 589 hours to Carpenter Nature Center volunteering. You probably heard of this person in 2023. It was a really big year for this person. She and her mom gave a presentation at the MOU Spring Primer about their 2022 Minnesota Big Year. So the rules in that, if you missed the Spring Primer presentation, it was simple. See as many birds as you can see in Minnesota in 1 year, but you and your mom both have to see the bird for it to count. At that time, she was also learning to drive, and she became quickly proficient at mining eBird for the latest sightings, calculating the drive time, and the routes to get them to and from the target bird, all sometimes before school started in the morning. 2023 was also the year that our recipient was selected to attend Cornell's Young Birder Camp, where 16 high school students spend the better part of a week learning and volunteering in Ithaca. Each graduating class also volunteers on special bird-related projects, and our young birder got to work on Merlin and helping strengthen Merlin, which, of course, if you don't know, is going to be the biggest talked about app at the holiday dinner party this year. In 2023, this person joined the MOU's Education Committee, becoming the youngest ever MOU board committee member. Things that this person's brought on board are things like the QR code flyer at the State Fair, and also the coloring sheets. They've also volunteered as a bird spotter at the annual hawk count for the past few years, and the migration count at Carpenter. They helped with the International Wood Thrush Migration Research Project. But I'll sum it up with the thing that I think exemplifies this person the most to me. So recently we road tripped to Arkansas for the Inland Bird Banding Association conference in Little Rock. And like any birder, when you're going to a conference, you immediately check to see what birds you can see and what birding adventures you can get to in between the presentations. And our goal was to see a red cockaded woodpecker on the site. So not only did our young birder identify the key locations to find the birds, she helped navigate down some crazy windy gravel roads without any cell service. And then we stood in the woods with nobody around, waiting and waiting and waiting. And we were losing light, and we were losing time, and probably also cell battery. And the bird showed up for a brief minute. And our young birder was able to quickly get the field marks, also much better than me and her mom, snap some great photos so we could confirm our identification. And by the way, she also won an award for her photography with the Institute of Bird Populations for a gold wing photo. But she stayed patient and calm the whole time and just sat and enjoyed the moment. No hooting, no hollering, just the most mature, wonderful, cool person to hang around with. At that conference, I got to see her interact with PhDs, with casual birders, and she just aced this really tough bird conservation or bird identification quiz. She's got an incredibly strong dedication to bird conservation. She has high goals for the future, and I'm certain she'll attain them. I am super thrilled to announce this year's Young Birder of the Year is Isabel Martinez. Come on up, Isabel. She's also shy and humble. That was a lot. When did you know it was you?
All right. So I get to present 2 awards in a row because both the nominator and the nominee are not here. So I'm going to do them both right in a row. We can clap after one of them, both of them, up to you. First is Volunteer of the Year Award. The nominator for this award, who wrote what I will be reading to you next, is Aaron Peach. When I think of volunteers in the birding world, it's hard not to think of those involved in hawk watches. Hawk watches demand careful organization of data, a good site to watch migration, and most importantly, skilled and dedicated volunteers. In Minnesota, there are only 2 official hawk watches that submit raptor migration data to hawkcount.org, North America's central database for migration counts. Hawk Ridge in Duluth immediately comes to mind as a well-established organization that many birders have spent an afternoon in the fall taking part in a count. But I'm here to recognize Minnesota's other official hawk watch, Bethany Hawk Watch at Bethany Lutheran College in Mankato, Minnesota. The Bethany Hawk Watch began in 2009 when a biology professor started observing raptor migration over the southeast bluff of the Mississippi River Valley that the college sits atop. Since then, a few key volunteer counters at Bethany Hawk Watch, namely Jim Amundsen and Marty Roast, clocked nearly 500 hours each fall hawk watching the southern Minnesota skies. Bethany Hawk Watch averages over 7,000 migrating raptors each fall, consistently ranking among the daily high counts in North America. Bethany Hawk Watch has recorded 19 species of raptor, including rare migrants like black vulture, ferruginous hawk, and prairie falcon. Of particular note was a family of 4 Mississippi kites spotted during the Hawk Watch by Jim Amundsen, Marty Roast, and John Nelson in August of 2020. These birds stayed for several weeks, drawing crowds of birders to Mankato. Back to the biology professor who started the count. He has volunteered countless hours of his time to accurately identify, count, and record raptor migration data. As a college professor, he practices excellent scientific data collection, but I think he would agree that his biggest accomplishment in relation to the Hawk Watch is his willingness to teach and share his love for birds. In addition to the Bethany Hawkwatch, Professor Hawkwatch has also been an integral part of the Mankato Christmas bird count for over 20 years and has taken over coordination and submission of the count for the past few years. His zeal for birds in the CBC regularly draws interested locals to help with that count. I'd be remiss to fail if I mentioned that the professor's Spiders of Minnesota project. Even though it isn't directly related to birds, the project is yet another shining example of his dedication to volunteering his time to the study of Minnesota's natural world. After finding inadequate documentation of Minnesota's spiders, he dove into the finicky art of spider collection and identification, and has found a spider never before recorded in North America, several state records, and countless county records, completely on his own time. This biology professor is well deserving of the 2024 Volunteer of the Year Award, given his extensive volunteer work related to birds in and around his home in Blue Earth County. This year's David A. Cahlander Volunteer of the Year Award goes to Chad Heins. And next, the Theodore Voelker Award. This is an award for excellence in field ornithology in a given year. So if you are doing interesting projects or finding rare birds, that's the sort of stuff that qualifies for a Voelker Award. The nominator for this award was Ezra Hosch. So our Voelker Award winner this year is no stranger to this accolade, having won it 3 times previously. This year, our winner has made a major return to rarity finding in the state, starting out with a yellow-billed loon with Paul Jancher in December of last year in Wabasha County. That was just a precursor to the fantastic spring of birding he would have while doing shorebird surveys at Drawn Down Long Lake in Cottonwood County. One of his first visits to the lake, he found a stunning male gargany, which was the first for Minnesota in 31 years. While gargany was the most impressive bird of the spring, he also found 3 western sandpipers, a casual species in Minnesota, and was involved in the discovery of 2 glossy ibis this spring, found a regionally rare hooded warbler in Murray County as well. Later in the year, he would discover another glossy ibis and a Houston County Eurasian widgeon. Perhaps most impressive was that he was finally able to add black-necked stilt to his personally found list. You might ask, why does this observer find so many rarities? I believe that it is largely because of his persistence and focus on looking at every bird. This can also be highlighted by the fact that he is a master at counting birds. Not only did he find many rarities this past year, but he also set several state high counts, which are of vital importance to our understanding of the status and distribution of Minnesota's birds. Some highlights include impressive concentrations of Bonaparte skull, greater white-fronted goose, tree swallow, great egret, and Brewer's blackbird. Another impressive count, while not a state record, was over 37,000 common nighthawks in Duluth this August. While finding rarities may impress listers and accurately counting birds greatly improves eBird and MOU datasets, I personally believe the top achievements of our winner are his morning flight counts and shorebird surveys. It would be difficult to find more than a handful of birders who have contributed more to our understanding of morning flight along Lake Superior's shores or of shorebird use of stopover sites in the state. Somehow, he still manages to do this despite his frequent travels to study birds, and in 2024, his trips took him to Kansas to count shorebirds, Iceland to count puffins and gannets, and Thailand to count raptor migrations and shorebirds there as well. Please join us in congratulating the 2024 Brother Theodore Voelker Award winner, Karl J. Bardon. And our last award will be presented by the award committee's chair, Liz Harper.
Well, like the award that Clinton gave out, our nominee and nominators aren't here today, but I am very honored to be able to give this award. Ezra Hosch and Eric Collins co-nominated this person for our Thomas Roberts Memorial Award. This award is MOU's Lifetime Achievement Award and is given for outstanding contributions to Minnesota's ornithology and birding. This year's recipient has spent over 5 decades in the field, adding to what we know about Minnesota's birds and inspiring other birders. Although you're most likely to find him along his beloved Mississippi and St. Croix rivers, his birding and discoveries have taken place across the state, from Blue Mound State Park to Grand Marais. Our recipient has found many remarkable birds over the years, too many to name here, so we're going to give you a highlight from each decade. On the 31st of August in 1973, our recipient was in Lincoln County when he discovered the first state record Mississippi kite. According to his note of interest from the loon, he spent an hour waiting for it to reappear from a woodlot, and once it did, he sped through the countryside for a closer observation. It put on a show for him, flying within 50 feet. He was also part of a group in Lackaparle County that on the 14th of May in 1983 found Minnesota's second hermit warbler. And then on the 21st of May in 1994, he discovered Minnesota's first curlew sandpiper, along with one of his favorite birding stretches in Goodhue County. Like so many of the rarities he has found, he got word out and other birders were able to chase it and enjoy the sighting. In the 2000s, he visited a turkey vulture roost in Afton each spring with the hope that a black vulture would someday roost with them. At that point, there had only been 3 black vulture sightings in Minnesota and none away from the North Shore. On the 24th of March, 2007, his dedication to finding the species finally paid off. It stayed for the following day, and several birders were also able to get to see it. Our recipient was one of the first birders in Minnesota to reach 400 for his life list. He is in the 200 Club in 12 counties and lead lister for Goodhue, Ramsey, and Washington counties. He is still birding, chasing, and adding to his lists. But more importantly than numbers and amazing bird finds, our recipient is a kind, generous, and humble person. He is a husband, a father, a grandfather, and a man of faith. He is an inspiration. Among a group of Washington County birders, he is known affectionately as the Godfather. So it is my true pleasure today to present this year's Thomas Robert Memorial Award to Bill Litkey.